Hey everybody, Tracy Brown here. I'm trying to find a good spot here where that light's not annoying. But anyway, thanks for joining me. I put out a little prompt yesterday around, I'm going to read it actually, because I got my computer up. But I want to make sure I spoke it correctly so we're all on the same page. All right. So welcome anybody who hasn't watched any of my live videos before. I do this at least once a week, sometimes up to 3 times a week. So if you look back, if you're a newer member, if you look back over the course of the last 6-7 months at least, you'll find lots of videos that we talk about anything from, obviously counseling skills. Sometimes people ask me questions, business questions, all that kind of good stuff. So, and again, if you're newer to me, I'm a trauma integrated somatic nutrition therapist. I'm a dietitian, and obviously we're primarily with non-diet causes in terms of like disordered eating and some medical nutrition combined with intuitive eating as well stuff. So and body image and all that, and a trained professional. So if you didn't know all that, now you know a little bit. It's all in any announcements section if you didn't already read that yet. So anyway, I want to make sure that know all a little bit about me, that I've been doing this for 13 years, and 9 of those years, I guess at least that much, that I was working in other people's practices, both a therapist and another nutrition therapist. So I've seen how people do all different kinds of ways to get their businesses and practices up and running, create products. I've done all that for myself as well in the last, this will be the 5th year, that I've been kind of totally on my own, and just kind of hit the ground running. So I want to talk a little bit about when we get stuck. So you saw in the title of this that we totally get stuck sometimes. Like maybe we're finding ourselves like, wow, I'm pretty busy, but I'm kind of overwhelmed, and there's parts of my business that I don't have time for, that I really love to do or want to do. You might be newer in your business where you just want to get more clients. And so what's going to be really important about that is that we kind of have this idea that if we just kind of put out some flyers, or snail mail some stuff to different doctors and therapists and all this kind of stuff. I mean, that works. That will get your name out a little bit. But what I'm finding, if you're looking for more clients to be most effective, is you got to build relationships. And I think that's what's so scary, because that means we're vulnerable, and we got to put ourselves out there in like who we are, what we do, how we help them, how we help their patients or clients. And I've done lots of videos about this, but it's just super important to recognize that that's really got to be, I learned early on trying to build my practice, my business, both offline and online, is that you've kind of got to be a business person just as much as you are like a tactician of what we love and what we're really good at, which is counseling. And that's hard for some of us, because I've worked with many people like, oh, I hate this stuff. I hate marketing. I hate putting myself out there. And I said, I know. I get it. It's not easy. But when we work for ourselves, or even, maybe a lot of you watching this aren't necessarily maybe totally on your own with your practice. Maybe you're working in a facility or for somebody else. So it's less of a struggle for you, and your role is really just focus on client care. And that's awesome. And so, but you listening to this video will help you too, because there's a level of you are helping that business, that practice that maybe you work in or under. You're helping them with marketing just by being willing to talk to the doctors that your patients are working with as well, or the parents or whatever. So always keep that in mind, that you're kind of always marketing on some level, just by being willing to talk to people and building those relationships. So kind of think about that as your first step in, if eventually your hope is to transition to totally your own business or practice or whatever you're wanting to do. But anyway, I put that prompt out yesterday of like, are you feeling a little stuck? And then one of our members here, Lynn, said thank you for the prompt, because just kind of recognize like, yeah, I'm kind of spinning a little bit. So when we're spinning, what we need to do is just stop usually take a day off, or if you're feeling pretty motivated, stop what you're doing and write some stuff out. Like literally write out, make a schedule of what's doable, about how often you're going to contact somebody, pick up the phone, go make a coffee date, those kind of things. If you're already doing that, a lot of that, and you're kind of regularly doing that, and the next step would be, again, this is all stuff you're going to be doing. You know, it took me a good 2 years really to get some momentum going of constantly doing that stuff like weekly, not just like, well, I guess I'll do some marketing this month. It's like this stuff needs to be done weekly. You almost need to have a day of your week, a Friday, let's say, you block it off and you pick up the phone and make phone calls, you send emails, you talk to old clients and see what kind of stuff, you know, where they're at, how they're doing, you know, what they would have liked more of. Now they don't work with you anymore. Maybe, you know, maybe you find if you pick up the phone and contact some old people that they had been thinking about contacting you but just hadn't taken the time to do it, and you called them or you emailed them and they're like, oh yeah, okay, there you go, right there. Or you could just have a conversation. How are you doing? Every once in a while I pick up my phone and I'll scroll through my old text and I'm like, oh, I haven't heard from that person in a year. I'll pick up the phone or I'll text, especially if I have a good relationship with them, and say, how you doing? What's going on? I come to find out they're pregnant or they're working on something else, and I happen to have like a resource for them about that. It doesn't maybe directly impact me, but I can be helpful for them. All those kind of things you can do. Don't be afraid to do those things, because all the little things like this add up. So again, I try to spend, at least if I can, half a day a week, you know, whatever it is. So I do a lot of podcasts because that's kind of my jam and I really love and enjoy that. So, you know, I look for podcasts and I reach out to people, or of course I'm working on emails for my professional list and for my client list, kind of doing brainstorming for that. Or maybe I'm working on, you know, plans, because I'm launching, you know, 2 of my programs this year live that I haven't done in a while, which I'm real excited about. One's the trauma integrated one and one's the non-diet counseling skills one. So, you know, I'll send some pictures. I'll show you guys. I'm mapping out like the emails and when I'm going to send them and who are they for and what's the point of these emails, and, you know, how are they in service and how are they helpful, and getting really clear on that stuff, but doing enough ahead of time to where, you know, I'm ready and I'm prepared and I'm in this really good zone of teaching versus just trying to get a bunch of stuff out there. And so if you're earlier on and you're not doing those kind of things, something else you might want to think of is, you know, you don't want to wait till, you know, it's easier when you're early on and you have 2 clients, let's say, or 4 or whatever. You have plenty of time to market usually and pick up the phone and think about some things you can offer in your community. But it's another thing to be like kind of in that middle zone where you have like 10, 12 people and maybe you're wanting 15 or 20 or more or whatever. You still need to take the time to market. I mean, I'm always marketing, and sometimes I have a full schedule, sometimes I don't. Most of the time I do, but I'm always doing that because you are helping people know who you are, what you can offer, what your unique flavor of it is. Even if they're not ready, they might be ready in 2 years. And so I want you to be thinking about that. But the most important thing today is get out a pen, a piece of paper, and start writing out like how you're going to work. Not just see clients, but how you're going to work on and in your business. If you don't own your own practice, but you're working on somebody else's, if there's something that you know you could be helpful for that benefits that practice, it gives you good practice, then do so. Whether it's writing, whether it's creating content for them, outreach, whatever, all these things are helpful and they matter. And action. I mean, not frantic action, but action certainly cures inertia. So even if you don't accomplish, like I wrote a whole article, maybe you brainstorm. Like one day I couldn't think. It happens all the time, by the way. You're not alone if you feel that way. I wrote out, so here's a notebook. I have many notebooks with me all the time. I mean, this is for YouTube, but I wrote out, I don't know how many weeks are there. There's another notebook full of those too. But just wrote out YouTube themes, you know, of, well, it doesn't mean I'm going to do all that. It just means that, like, you know, you do a brain dump and then you go back through it and think like, okay, I have the bandwidth for that. I'm going to do that. So if you don't do videos, that's fine. You write. If you love the Instagram style of things, and you make your infographics, and if that's something you can do to get yourself out of the spin or the stuckness, then that's what you need to do. So sitting down, making a plan for how you want things to progress, and then you pick something, one thing. Don't try to do 10, pick one and start working on that. So I hope this video was helpful. If you know other colleagues that are kind of like stuck with their businesses or practices too, and this group would be helpful, please let them know. I'd appreciate that. And if you're newer to the group and you haven't looked through all the videos for the past, I'm on our Facebook group here, and I am tabbing on all the past videos. How many do I have so far? Okay, there's a ton. Okay, hold on a second, trying to close a tab here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Guys, I mean, we've got like a couple dozen videos so far since I've started this group this fall. And so there's plenty, if you're feeling stuck, to go back over, look through, whether it's counseling skills or business stuff. Pretty much free training. So let me see here. Most of these videos are also between 5 and 20 minutes. So most of them, around the 10-minute mark. So anyway, a little dose of support for you could go back through and look at. So, all right. Well, I'll talk to you all really soon. Please leave your comments as well. I want to hear about where you're stuck, like really specifically, so we can do specific videos about that. And I really pay attention to people's comments and kind of where they're stuck and what's happening, and for us to get a lot more specific. So if you need help, let me know. All right, talk to you all real soon, and have a great day. Thanks. Bye.